So as we move out of 1991, we see grunge blowing up. Pearl Jam's Versus, the follow-up to their debut 10, huge record setting. It sold
Crazy.
950,378 copies exactly in week one alone, nearly 1 million in 1 week.
I remember an interview, I think it was on MTV, that Jeff Ament Pearl Jam did talking about the album. And they asked him, what do you think of the reception to Versus so far? And it was just as the album was released. And I remember him struggling with the answer. And he finally said, almost 1 million people listening to your songs in 1 week. He's like, I don't even know. I can't tell you what that is. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around 1 million people listening to the songs we just played and put on tape and put out there. Like, and you saw it in his face. You saw he was distraught. He was like, what does this even mean? You know,
Yeah.
you can't even count to 1 million. How long would it take to count to 1 million? You know, like
Yeah.
it's just a giant number. We were all a little too quick to judge what these guys were doing. Eddie walked around 94 when Vitology came out, and even a little before that, probably. Eddie was wearing a mask. You saw pictures of him walking around wearing a mask, like a clown mask, which is odd, obviously. And his behavior was weird, and he was drinking a lot. And I remember years later he was talking about it, and he's like, I didn't know what I was doing because I was just trying to get the hell away. I was trying to escape. We weren't prepared for this. And young people do strange things when they're facing something that they don't know how to handle. That's human nature.
Then they have to realize this ain't going away. I'm going to have to embrace this. Eddie Vedder particularly had to embrace it and deal with it.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, no. He did, and he came out the other side, and he has two daughters, and seems like his life is in relatively good order, and that's great because a lot of people with that kind of fame, they don't lead normal lives or seemingly normal lives, and some of them don't even make it. I mean, he just turned 60, I believe,
Mhm.
and some people don't make it that far in that world. You know, it's unfair, and it's a shame that when someone wants to give something to the world, whether it's music, art, writing, you name it, just be vulnerable, give something. If that's your purpose and you want to give something to the world by releasing it, it's a shame that there has to be ridicule that comes with it. And I don't mean critiquing. Critiquing is great, right? People can say, hey, I like what you did, but I didn't like this part, or it's not really for me, but I see where you're coming from. Great job. Like, it's never that. We live in this black and white world where, like you said, I love you or I hate you.
Right.
And that shouldn't be the case. And for people to, even the times we live in now with the internet being what it is and technology being what it is, we can all put stuff out whenever we want. But the world it's very cluttered, and people have to, they're not going to find us necessarily the way the world found Nirvana at the same time. We don't live in a monoculture anymore. There's lots of things happening all at once. But when something does break through, were we doing all of this so that can happen? Were we trying to become the most famous people in the world? I don't think so. And even if we were, how could we possibly process how to handle that
Right.
before it happens? You can't. And that's what these guys had to go through. It reminds me, this part of the conversation reminds me of the song by Tool, Hooker with a Penis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
What a
great
title.
song. Great, great, great. Yeah, great. Especially when your kids are in the car and the thing comes.
Right.
Um, but there's a line that Maynard has in it. All you know about me is what I sold you. His point is exactly what we're talking about right now. Like, we don't know these people. They know what you gave them. They know what you told them. It doesn't mean they know you. And fans, admirers, haters, all together, they don't care about that. It's more of their self-gratification that they want to approach you and say something to you than how that might make you feel. They don't care about that.
There's a great scene in the movie. It's the movie with De Niro and Jerry Lewis. De Niro plays this psycho fan of Jerry Lewis, who's
Okay.
he's like a Johnny Carson type guy, as a late night show.
Mm.
But there's a scene in there. It's brilliant. Jerry Lewis is crossing the street and he's in the city, and this old woman stops him.
Morris, you will not believe who's coming down the hill. Jerry Langford, right?
Right.
Oh, Morris, please hold on. Jerry, would you please sign my sign my magazine for me?
Yeah.
You're just wonderful. I've watched you your entire career. You're a joy to the world. Please, Morris, would you just please say something to my nephew Morris on the phone? He's in the hospital.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.
It's that quick that somebody can turn like that,
Yeah. Famous people to non-famous people, famous people aren't people,
Right.
right? There are these things that are there for our entertainment. And if we happen to run into them, they have to entertain us. And it's not like that. It's tough. And these guys went through it big time back then.